Good afternoon, guys. I first want to review kind of what I know that classes have been short and we've been going really fast, but I want to review like what we did today. Today we first we were talking about dilations, and a dilation is when something changes size. Okay, so then we talked about reflections, and reflections are when something flips over the x or y axis here. So it's like a mirror image. So in class we did an x-axis reflection, which is like from here to here. It flipped over the x-axis. And then we did a y-axis reflection when it flips like from here to here, okay? So over the x-axis, when you do an x-axis reflection, the y value changes to the opposite sign. When you do a y-axis reflection, the x value changes to the opposite sign. So it's like if you have a graph, then you do it like how I showed you on the graph, but mostly you're going to see them like this, like on coordinates. So here's an example. When we reflected this point, -2, 3, over the x-axis, the y value changed to a -3. So it went from -2, +3 to -2, -3 when we reflected over the x-axis. So just wanted to review that a little bit with you here, since I know we did that kind of quickly in class today. And we'll get some more chances to practice that tomorrow. But, okay, so go ahead and take out your packet. And it was page 3, starting on page 3. So we're only going to do 4 of these, okay? Because the other ones are, like, not good examples to do. Okay. So we're going to do number 1, number 4, and then 5 and 7. So 1, 4, and 5 on the front page, and then number 7 on the back page. Okay. So number 1 is going to be a reflection across the x-axis. So let's remember, the x-axis is this shape, or this line right here, okay? That's the x-axis. So we're going to flip this shape over the x-axis. So to do that, we want to look at the pre-image. So here's the pre-image. It's points L, G, and Q. So let's start with L. So this vertex L is 2 squares, or 2 units, above the x-axis. So when we reflect it, it's going to go from being 2 units above the x-axis to being 2 units below the x-axis. So that'll be down here. And that's L prime. Okay, so moving to G. Point G is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares above the x-axis. So when we reflect it over the x-axis, it's going to be 4 squares below the x-axis. G prime. And then Q is 1 unit below the x-axis. So when we reflect it, it's actually going to be 1 unit above the x-axis. And there's Q prime. So this one is going to kind of like lap over on itself, but you'll see when you reflect it, it actually looks like a mirror image. Like each point just flipped to the other side of the graph, of the x-axis. So this will be our image. There you go. Okay. Number 4 is another reflection across the x-axis. Okay. So each point needs to be the same distance away from the x-axis. So P is 1 unit underneath the x-axis, so we're going to flip it 1 unit above the x-axis. Z is 3 units above the x-axis, so we're going to flip it to being 3 units below the x-axis. D is 4 units above the x-axis, so we're going to flip it, we're going to reflect it, and it's going to be 4 units below the x-axis. Yeah. M is actually already on the x-axis, so since it's on the line of reflection, then it can stay there. And there you go, another reflection. Okay, for number 5, we actually have to graph, this is the pre-image here, so we have to graph that. So point T is 2, 2, so you go to 1, 2, 1, 2, that's right there. Point C is 2, 5, so go to 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point Z is 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then F is 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0. Okay. So I don't know why this is another one where we have to reflect across the x-axis. Okay. Let's start with T. T is 2 units up from the x-axis, so we're going to flip it 2 units down from the x-axis. C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units above, so we're going to go back to the x-axis and go 5 units below. Z is 1, 2, 3, 4 units above the x-axis, so when we reflect it over the x-axis, it'll be 4 units under. And then F is already on the x-axis, so F stays on the line. And there's your reflection. Here's your pre-image and your image. Okay, flipping to the back. We're going to reflect this across the x-axis. So when you reflect something across the x-axis, the y changes signs. That's all you have to do is change the sign of the y. Okay? So that would be the second number in the ordered pair. So like K is negative 1, or sorry, positive 1, negative 1. K prime, after a reflection across the x-axis, would be the x would stay the same, and negative 1 will become positive 1. So the first number is x, and the second number is y, right? Remember x and y? Okay, for n prime, 4 and 0, the x-axis reflection, the x stays the same, and the y changes to the opposite. So it would be 4, and then 0 is, you wouldn't put negative 0. Just if it's 0, just keep it the same. And then for Q, x-axis reflection, x stays the same, y changes signs. So 4 would stay the same, and negative 4 will become positive 4. Okay, we're going to do more practice of these tomorrow in class. So just let that sink in. Look over your notes again a few more times. We've done 3 transformations now. Translations, dilations, and reflections now. So we've done those 3, and we still have 1 more to do. So you need to make sure that you go over your notes, go over in your packet and look at the other ones, watch some of the YouTube videos. If you didn't understand, just make sure that we're all on the same page, because you're going to have your pack on Thursday over this stuff. Okay? All right, guys, see you tomorrow.